Welcome to SOL 104. Elasticity. Introduction. Normally, the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right, while supply slopes upward from left to right. However, both respond to changes in the price level. The responsiveness is always referred to as elasticity. In this study session, we shall briefly look at the nature of elasticity of demand and supply. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Define and use correctly the term elasticity. 2. Calculate and discuss elasticity of demand and supply. 3. Point out the factors that determine the elasticity of both demand and supply. Concept of elasticity. Elasticity is a term used to measure the rate of responsiveness of demand or supply to a slight change in price. Three main things that affect changes shall be discussed as related to elasticity of demand. They are: 1. Price of a particular commodity. 2. Size of income. And 3. Price of another commodity. These factors lead us to look at three types of demand elasticity. Elasticity of demand. Forms of elasticity of demand. A. Price elasticity of demand. This is when we compare the rate at which demand expands to the rate at which price falls. In other words, price elasticity of demand measures how the quantity of a given commodity changes when its price slightly changes. This is measured using the formula ED equals percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price, where ED is the price of elasticity of demand. This formulation enables us to construct a simple expression for the price elasticity of demand for goods using only minimal information about its demand curve. Let change in P represent a small change in the current price and change in Q the resulting change in quantity demanded. The expression change in P over P will then stand for the proportion by which price changes when P changes by change in P, and change in Q over Q will stand for the corresponding proportion by which quantity changes. The formula for price elasticity may then be written as price elasticity equals ED equals change in Q over change in P over P. The above calculation shows that price elasticity of demand is the comparison between the rate of change in demand as a result of change in the price level that causes the change in demand. When elasticity is greater than 1, the change in the quantity demanded is more than proportionate to the change in price. We say demand is elastic. When elasticity is less than 1, the change in the quantity demanded is less than proportionate to the change in price. We say demand is inelastic. If elasticity is equal to 1, we say demand is unitary. These forms of elasticity can be graphically illustrated thus. Perfectly elastic demand curve. One, the demand curve is parallel to the quantity axis. 2. Demand curve is very sensitive to price changes. Any increase or decrease in price means a zero demand. 3. PED equals infinity. A. Perfectly inelastic demand curve. 1. The demand curve is parallel to the price axis. 2. At any price, the same quantity is demanded. 3. PED equals 0. B. Unitary elastic demand curve. The percentage change in quantity demanded is exactly equal to the percentage change in price. 2. Rectangle A is equal to rectangle B. 3. PED equals 1. Just like demand, we have elasticity of supply. Elasticity of supply measures how supply of commodities varies with price changes. It is measured thus: ES equals percentage change in quantity supplied over percentage change in price. B. Cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of commodity X to a small change in the price of commodity Y. Most of the time, cross elasticity is measured between two commodities that are substitute to each another or complementary. For example, you can measure the change in demand for margarine due to change in the price of butter. It is measured thus: E subscript C equals percentage change in quantity demanded of good X over percentage change in price of good Y. C. Income elasticity of demand. This is a proportionate change in demand as a result of the proportionate change in real income. It is measured thus: E subscript Y equals percentage change in quantity demanded of a good over percentage change in income. Factors determining elasticity of demand. 1. Existence of close substitutes. Demand for goods with close substitutes is likely to be elastic, while the demand for those goods without close substitute is likely to be inelastic. 2. Consumer's income. The higher the income of a consumer, the more likely inelastic will be his or her demand. This is because real income will not be affected by price changes, while low-income earners have elastic demand. 3. The cost of the commodity relative to consumers' income. The demand for cheap articles is inelastic since the price is insignificant relative to income. 4. Brand loyalty and advertisement. A consumer will have an inelastic demand if he or she has brand loyalty or due to addiction to a product. It may sometimes be induced by advertisement. 5. Articles of necessity. Goods of necessity have inelastic demand, for example, salt. 6. Degree of durability. Goods that are durable and susceptible to repairs tend to have elastic demand. Elasticity of supply. Forms of elasticity of supply. Just as we have inelasticity of demand, we also have elastic, inelastic, and unitary elasticity of supply. A. Perfectly elastic supply curve. 1. Supply curve is parallel to the quantity axis. 2. Supply is very sensitive to price. 3. PES equals infinity. B. Perfectly inelastic supply curve. 1. Supply curve is parallel to the price axis. 2. At any price, the same quantity is supplied. 3. PES equals 0. C. Unitary elastic supply curve. 1. Proportionate change in price is equal to proportionate change in supply. 2. PES equals 1. Factors determining elasticity of supply. 1. Time. Since factors of production sometimes cannot be easily varied in the short run, supply tends to be inelastic in the short run. 2. Existence of alternatives. The existence of an alternative market for a product makes the supply elastic because they can be shifted in the point of sale. Also, manufacturers can shift production to alternatives if price changes on one product. 3. Flexibility of factors of production. Goods that have alternative uses have elastic supply curve, whereas goods that are rigid in use have inelastic supply curve. Study session summary. In this session, we have defined elasticity as related to both demand and supply. Also, we looked at some basic determinants and forms of elasticity of demand and supply. We concluded by looking at other types of elasticity, such as cross-elasticity and income elasticity. End of study session 4. Thank you for listening.